Hello, I hope everyone is doing well. In this video, we're going to find sine inverse of square root of 2 over 2. So if you're watching this video, that means you have learned lots of trigonometry functions and you are comfortable doing inverse functions now. So let's talk about sine inverse. Where does it exist? So for sine inverse to exist, we must restrict our sine function. So we don't look at the entire domain of it. We only look at the restricted domain for sine. So for sine, we're going to look at its domain from only negative pi over 2 to pi over 2. So only within that domain, we make it a one-to-one function so that talking about inverse sine makes sense. And range of this function is, as we all know, it's going to be from negative 1 to 1. So that's for sine. That means for sine inverse or arc sine, the domain is going to be the range of sine. That will be from negative 1 to 1. And the range of sine inverse will be from negative pi over 2 to pi over 2. So we swap this. So the range becomes the domain becomes the range. So now that we are familiar with this, now we can answer this question: what is sine inverse of square root of 2 over 2? So for inverse function, you start to ask yourself the question backwards. We're looking for an angle. So we want to know sine of what angle gives us square root of 2 over 2, where that angle lies within the boundary of negative pi over 2 and pi over 2. Remember, it has to be within that range because that's the domain of sine. We restrict it. So what is that angle? So from your memory, you know that sine of pi over 4 gives us the exact value of square root of 2 over 2. Therefore, based on that knowledge, sine inverse of square root of 2 over 2 has to be pi over 4. So that will be your answer, or 45 degree. And is this within the range we're looking at? Yeah, it is within that range. So that's why sine inverse of square root of 2 over 2 is pi over 4. Now, what if the exact value is negative? So let's say now we want to find sine inverse of negative square root of 2 over 2. Well, same idea. You have to make sure that we want to know sine of what angle gives us negative root 2 over 2, where the angle lies within the restricted domain of negative pi over 2 to pi over 2. So if you were to picture this on the unit circle, so here's the unit circle, the entire cycle 0 to 2 pi. Now we're not looking at the entire unit circle. You're only looking at from negative pi over 2 to pi over 2. So negative pi over 2 is down here and pi over 2 is down here. So we're only looking at this piece of the unit circle for sine inverse to exist. Now for the negative inverse exact value from this acronym ASTC, we know here everything is positive, here sine is positive, and so forth. So since we're not looking at these two quadrants, our answers cannot be there. For A, meaning everything is positive here. So the positive exact values are right here. Now, third quadrant, only cosine is positive. That means for sine, we are going to get a negative exact value. So sine inverse of a negative exact value is right here. That means if I know this direction, whatever that angle is, then this direction, I just negate the angle. So let's go ahead and find this one right here. So I want to know sine of what angle gives me square root of 2 over 2, because in this direction, I will get sine of that same angle to give me negative square root of 2 over 2. Well, from memory, we just saw it above, that theta is pi over 4, because pi over 4 gives you square root of 2 over 2. So that means if I want the angle going downward from the x-axis, has to be negative. So this theta is negative pi over 4. And this makes sense because it is within the restriction we're looking at. It's within that interval. So this makes sense. Now let's go ahead and try another one. So say you want to find the exact value for sine inverse of -1/2. So again, we ask ourselves, what is sine of an angle that gives us +1/2? Then we use that angle, just negate it. So from memory, we know that this angle is going to be pi/6 or 30 degrees. Now, we don't want that angle because that gives us +1/2. So we know we have to be in this side of the unit circle. So this is the one we just got. That's pi/6. But we want to go this way because that will give us the negative exact value. So that would be -pi/6. So this, to answer this question, this is -pi/6. And this is within our restricted domain. So theta is between -pi/2 to pi/2. So remember, for sine inverse, you have to be within this restricted domain. All right, I hope this makes sense.